Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
Almost. 10 and counting. Yep.
The time is 10.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Dory. I'm here with Sarah, and we invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and noon each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And we'll get things rolling with a story from the Springfield News-Leader. Missouri paddlefish lands a spot in Smithsonian's new exhibit. This is a story by Janice Reeser. The Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History will display an American paddlefish from Missouri in its new exhibition, From These Lands, Sharing Our Natural and Cultural Heritage. The exhibition, which opened June 18th, features more than 600 specimens and cultural objects from all 50 states, District of Columbia, and 5 U.S. territories, according to a community announcement. The American paddlefish is the only surviving member of its family in the world and once lived through the Great Lakes, but is now only found in the Mississippi watershed. And we see a picture of a paddlefish. Exhibition celebrates nation's natural and cultural heritage is the next byline. The exhibition draws from the museum's collection of more than 148 million objects and will highlight items that showcase the range of American nature, geology, and cultural traditions. The exhibit celebrates USA's 250th anniversary. And this exhibition brings the entire country into one gallery, letting visitors encounter the extraordinary breadth of America's natural and cultural heritage. Sant Director of the National Museum of Natural History, Kirk Johnson, said in the announcement, as the country marks its 250th anniversary, From These Lands presents an opportunity to celebrate the diversity of our landscapes, the depth of our history, and the connections that link people and the natural world across borders. The objects on view will weave state and regional stories into recurring themes that show how natural history collections reveal unexpected connections, inspire wonder, spark conversation, and generate knowledge, according to the announcement. The next byline, paddlefish on display. The American paddlefish is among the largest fish in North America's rivers and has changed very little since it's diverged from other species more than 310 million years ago. Its long paddle-shaped snout detects electrical currents, guiding it to food and helping it to navigate. When you look at the natural history of the United States, you're seeing a story that stretches back hundreds of millions of years. Stuart Eady, co-curator of the exhibition and curator in the museum's Department of Paleobiology, said in the announcement, "The announcements and specimens in this exhibition show how life and landscapes have changed through deep time, from the ancient seas that once covered much of the country to the ecosystems we know today." Byline Read's exhibition features companion book and an online version. A companion book called From These Lands, Sharing Our Natural and Cultural Heritage will accompany the exhibition. A print-on-demand DIY exhibition toolkit available in 7 languages will explore North America biomes and highlight of the diversity of species, colors, and shapes in the museum's collections, according to the announcement. An online version of the exhibition will also be available on the museum's website. The National Museum of Natural History is open daily, except on Christmas, from 10 to 5:30. Admission is free, and if you need more information, just visit the museum's website.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Andy's Frozen Custard CEO explains tax abatement requests to keep HQ in Springfield. CEO Andy Kuntz and his team sat down with the Springfield Daily Citizen on June 23rd to discuss his company's request for up to $32 million in Chapter 100 industrial development bonds. He believes there's a public misconception about what the company would be getting. And what follows is a picture of Andy Kuntz, the CEO and co-owner of Andy's Frozen Custard, along with his signature cone in the atrium at the company's headquarters in downtown Springfield on June 23rd, 2026. Andy's Frozen Custard CEO Andy Kuntz explained that the property tax abatement that will be considered by the Springfield City Council is necessary to keep the frozen treat company headquartered in Springfield. Kuntz and his team sat down with the Springfield Daily Citizen on June 23rd to discuss his company's request for up to $32 million in Chapter 100 industrial development bonds, which allow companies to develop projects with property tax abatement. I think there's some public perception that the city is giving us a lot of money to build an office space, and the honest answer is that the city is giving us nothing to build the office space, Kuntz said in his office at Andy's current headquarters in downtown Springfield. We are financing it all with our own money or bank money. What we're asking for is some tax abatement on the property. Kuntz said there is a misconception surrounding the idea that bonds are being paid for by the city and the taxpayers to build Andy's new HQ. In reality, bonds is the word that the state statute uses to describe the process that leads to the property tax abatement. Kuntz said Andy's will be paying all the city's costs and the company would get tax abatement on the property and on construction materials for the site. They call it Chapter 100 sometimes. It's industrial revenue bonds, but it's not a bond in the traditional sense, said Robert De La Fuente, Director of Real Estate, who was also present for the interview at Andy's HQ. It's just the legal framework that the state requires to set up the abatement. While the bond proposal would not hand over $32 million in taxpayer funds to Andy's to construct new headquarters, the property tax abatement would add up to a significant sum, Kuntz said. I don't know what it'll be on the new property, Kuntz said. I mean, property tax could be $75,000 a year, and if we can get 90% of that for 10 years, it adds up. Byline reads, City Council gives nod to company to begin process of bond proposal. And what follows is a picture of Andy's Frozen Custard's headquarters on Water Street in downtown Springfield. On June 22nd, City Council passed a resolution that acts as a green light for the company to come up with the development plan and bond proposal. The affirming vote did not issue any bonds or approve the use of any incentives for the project. Earlier this month, Andy's Frozen Custard requested up to $32 million in bonds from the city to build its headquarters in Springfield and not move the project to another city or state. Now that the resolution of intent has passed, the company will begin to prepare plans for the project and the issuance of bonds. There will be a notice of a public hearing on the bond issuance, and a cost-benefit analysis will be sent to constituents. City Council will then hear and vote on the bond issuance. If it passes council, the bonds will close. Kuntz said that the first time Andes discussed tax abatement on the new headquarters project with city officials was around summer of 2025. The company purchased a 10-acre property in 2022 on the northeast corner of East Division Street and North Lecompte Road on the east side of Highway 65 to develop new company headquarters. Updated plans released in the resolution show the project will include more than 43,000 square feet of office space and 9,000 square feet of warehouse space. It will be built in 2 phases, with the first complete in 2028 and the second in 2033. As the plan for the new headquarters came together over the years after purchasing the property, construction and development costs skyrocketed, and the company does not believe it can build its headquarters in Springfield without property tax abatement. The company is outgrowing its downtown Springfield headquarters, where it's been since 2018. And though it has extended the lease at the space through 2028, Kuntz said the company wants to own its headquarters property in the future. Plans for the new headquarters have gone through drastic cost changes since the conception and purchase of the property about 4 years ago. The project, the timing of it has been evolving as a function of the cost. De La Fuente said, the cost here in the last 3 years has gone up 30%. Byline reads, company says it needs full sum of tax abatement to make construction projects financially feasible. And what follows is another picture of Andy Kuntz, CEO and co-owner of Andy's Frozen Custard at the company's headquarters in downtown Springfield. Furthermore, while there is some discussion surrounding the timeline of tax abatement requested in this resolution, namely 25 years of different levels of tax abatement, Kuntz said Andy's really needs the total sum of abatement to make the project financially feasible. The company's development plan and bond request will ask for 25 years of property tax abatement in various levels, starting with 90% abatement for the first 10 years. While the company has discussed internally and externally a move to a neighboring community like Republic or a city as far away as Kansas City, Kuntz said Springfield is the only municipality from which the company has requested Chapter 100 bonds. The company plans to see this request through with the city of Springfield before it considers asking other municipalities for some form of tax abatement. The CEO of the Frozen Treat Company said the public response to the property tax abatement proposal has surprised him. It'd be nice to think that, for a company that's been at it for 40 years, gets a reward at the end, Kuntz said. We worked our tails off and created a lot of opportunities for people in our stores, in our office, and paid a lot of sales tax and a lot of property tax every year. And I guess I'm thinking that it would be nice just to see the bond proposal come to fruition. We love Springfield, and Springfield has been good to us, Kuntz said. The director of real estate added that the Chapter 100 request for Springfield is comparable to what the company would request of other Missouri cities. We're looking for a deal that would get comparable in St. Louis, Kansas City, and we're hoping that Springfield could at least come up and meet us to be competitive with those cities, De La Fuente said. And the byline reads, Andes has to make good decisions for the future trajectory of the frozen custard empire. And what follows is a picture of the iconic Andes frozen custard scoop reflecting the sunlight on the first day of fall in 2024. At the same time, Kuntz said the company has to make some hard decisions for the future of the frozen custard company and what makes the most financial sense for the trajectory of the company. If Springfield doesn't offer a deal for tax abatement, the company will explore its options in other cities. On the flip side, I think as a company we have to be smart and make good decisions. And the Kansas City thing is not a threat, Kuntz said. I was born and raised in Kansas City. We own a residence and have there for some 20 years. My daughter lives there. We have 15 stores there. Are we going to entirely up and move our entire headquarters to Kansas City? Maybe, maybe not. But we would certainly reduce the impact of what would be built here in Springfield. In fact, we wouldn't build anything. We would probably just work out a long-term lease and keep some people here, Kuntz said. The CEO of the privately held company, in which Kuntz's family is a majority owner, said he personally doesn't want to see the company move its headquarters to another city because Andy's is synonymous with Springfield. The company's identity has involved Springfield for almost 40 years. The other cities, those are avenues I really don't want to go down. But we've talked to people, and I've had calls for People Republic, and we've talked to our broker in Kansas City, but Springfield is where our heart is at.
Republic School Board President has been charged with domestic assault. This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Terry McConnell is accused of pushing the victim into a door after she tried to pull a loaded gun out of his hand. And we see a picture of the Republic School District Administration Center. Republic Board of Education President Terry McConnell has been charged with fourth-degree domestic assault, a Class A misdemeanor, following an incident early Saturday, June 20th, in which he's accused of pushing a woman and wielding a gun while intoxicated. McConnell had been in an argument with the victim before the incident took place, according to a request for a warrant filed by the Greene County Prosecutor's Office. The document states that McConnell entered the victim's room while she was sleeping, pulled the sheets off her bed, held a loaded handgun to his head, and stated, quote, "Tonight's the night." The victim attempted to take the gun from McConnell to prevent him from firing it. He pushed the victim into a door during the struggle, according to the document. The victim reportedly sustained a large cut on her arm. The prosecutor wrote that there were 2 juveniles in the residence. McConnell was intoxicated when the incident took place. And what follows is a professional picture taken of Terry McConnell in a suit and tie. The state is waiting to review additional evidence to determine whether McConnell should also be charged with unlawfully exhibiting a firearm, the prosecutor wrote. Because this incident put multiple people in danger and caused significant injury to the victim, the state believes the requested bond and conditions are necessary to assure the safety of the victim and the broader community, the document states. McConnell was first elected to the state board in 2023, according to the school district's website. The district sent the following statement to the Daily Citizen in an email. Quote, "We're aware of the situation involving Mr. Terry McConnell. We don't have all of the details right now. However, we can share that this personal matter is not related to his service with Republic School District. When we gather more information, the Board of Education will determine how to move forward." Online court records indicate a warrant has been issued for McConnell's arrest with bond set at $25,000. Attempts to reach McConnell for comment on June 22nd were not successful.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, new Mother Road exhibit explores African American influences on Route 66. The display is the first in the newly renovated Benton Avenue Educational Center on the Drury University campus. And what follows is a picture. Mother Road, the stories of African Americans on Route 66, is on display at the Benton Avenue Educational Center. In April of 1926, the Mother Road was born in the Queen City. Route 66 received its designation with a telegram sent from Springfield 100 years ago, and an anniversary that has been widely celebrated throughout the city this year. But that's a story that everyone has heard. According to organizers of a new exhibit, there's a significant portion of the history of Route 66 that is often forgotten: the Mother Road. The stories of African Americans on Route 66 exhibit may be a solution, the story every Springfieldian knows through a different pair of eyes. The dominant narrative of Route 66 foregrounds leisure, choice, and opportunity, while often not including the experiences of African American travelers, workers, and communities for whom mobility along the road was constrained, segregated lodging and eating establishments, and unevenly accessible, states a press release announcing the exhibit. The exhibit will be located in the recently renovated Benton Avenue Educational Center, formerly the Benton Avant AME Church, which was once pastored by Oliver L. Brown, lead plaintiff from Board versus the Brown of Education, on the Drury University campus. Mother Road is the space's inaugural exhibit. It is open Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is free. Multiple components make up the exhibit, including banners, multimedia, research, and artifacts from Mrs. Alberta's Hotel, a hotel featured in the Green Book, a travel guidebook for African Americans published from 1936 to 1966 in the midst of Jim Crow laws and segregation. The Green Book plays a large part in the exhibit, which includes details on African American heritage trail markers on Route 66 and within Springfield. A mini documentary, which utilizes archival footage, will be played on loop in the exhibit. The film was created by local residents. It's fascinating to know the richness and depth of the Springfield African American community and the journey that has been undertaken here and the amazing contributions to our city and to our region. And I think this exhibit helps to celebrate that, said Lyle Foster, an associate professor at Missouri State University and exhibition organizer. Foster is one of multiple MSU professors who helped create the exhibit based off of research done into Route 66 history. A research article has also spawned from the group. The exhibit will be showing on Benton Avenue until August 29th, but there may be a feature in other towns as well. We've got many more months to celebrate the 100th year anniversary, but we're hoping people will want to see it in other places, Foster said.
I can't believe it's right around the corner. The schedule has been set for the 90th Ozark Empire Fair in Springfield. Summer's biggest party returns July 30th through August 8th at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds. And this is written by Adam Walker from the Springfield Daily Citizen. We see a picture of a very colorful ride at the Ozark Empire Fair. It's called the Spider. Oh, okay. And roller coasters, funnel cakes, and freestyle bullfighting are just some of the draws for the 90th Ozark Empire Fair, which is running again July 30th through August 8th in North Springfield. What started as a traveling arts and crafts show in the early 1900s found its permanent home at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds in 1937. Next byline, attractions and events. Now, there will be free attractions included with your fair admission, including live music, the Radettes Music Show, an exotic petting zoo, and pig races. The Ozark Empire Fairgrounds E-Plex will also host more than 65 vendors to showcase craftsmanship and provide a live local marketplace for Missouri-made products. The fair will offer plenty of food, including staples like funnel cake, jugs of root beer, oh, that's a legend there right there, as well as new additions this year to the fair, such as the Louisiana Bayou food truck, Sam's Gyros, Choo-Choo concessions, and Big Dave's smoked turkey legs. Grandstand events are ranging from live music to monster trucks and freestyle bullfighting. Tickets to the grandstand events are sold separately, but they can be purchased in advance at a discounted price. KY3 grandstand events this year include, and what a great band this is, Sawyer Brown. They'll be with Stephen Paul July 31st. The O'Reilly Outlaw Nationals Monster Truck Show August 1st. Colton Dixon with Seth Schluter on August 2nd. Now, a free grandstand event is Alex Miller with 615 Collective. Again, that's on August 3rd. Foghat with Damsel, August 4th. O'Reilly Auto Parts Night of Destruction on August 6th. Hardy's Extreme Bullfighting is set for August 7th. And the annual Truck and Tractor Pull, August 8th. Admission and parking is the next byline. On-site parking is $5. Tickets for admission, all grandstand events, and super passes can be purchased on the fair's website. Adult general admission for ages 12 and up will be $12 in advance, $17 during the fair. Children's general admission, they consider that ages 6 through 11 will be $3.50 in advance or $5.50 during the fair, and for ages 6 and under and ages 80 and over, admission is free. Advance tickets are available, by the way, at area Rapid Roberts and Springfield Hy-Vee locations. The fair will open at 4 p.m. on Thursday, July 30th, then at 11 a.m. for each day afterward. The fair closes at 11 p.m. every night, with the E-Plex closing at 10 p.m. The fair will also hold special discounted days. On July 30th will be a free admission day. August 3rd is $3 day, which means $3 admission, $3 parking, $3 rides, and select $3 food items. August 4th, Service Day, with free admission for service members such as police, fire, and EMT. August 5th, Military Day, with free admission for active duty veterans and retired service members with a valid ID. And August 6th, College Day, with free admission with an active and valid college ID.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, SPS employee unions reach pay agreements for upcoming school year. Both sides agree that reduced state funding a large part of why annual raises will be smaller than usual. What follows is a picture of McGregor 5th grade teacher Lori Allen helping out a student during an independent study time on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 in Springfield. Both sides of salary negotiations for Springfield Public Schools point to state funding limitations as a reason for reduced salary increases for the 2026-27 school year. With its approval of the budget, the Springfield Board of Education approved a smaller collection of employee raises that grant a step on a salary schedule and a $500 one-time stipend. The stipend replaced a cost of living adjustment that had been granted in recent years. Both the step advancement and a cost of living adjustment were estimated to cost about $4 million each, and Travis Shaw, Deputy Superintendent of Operations. In a year where reduced state funding and declining enrollment limited revenue, the district had to choose one or the other, said Superintendent Granita Lathan. In previous years, we have been able to do a step and a cost of living adjustment, said Latham said last week. This is a way to say that we know they were probably expecting more and we wanted to do more, but financially, this is what we can do to make sure we are able to be financially stable. The district's employees are organized in 10 groups represented in collective bargaining. 9 of those 10 groups are represented by the Springfield National Education Association. Bus drivers are represented by Teamsters Local Number 245. Shannon Ben, president of the SNEA, said that employees wanted both the salary step and a cost of living adjustment, but understood the impact of the legislature's funding decisions. This is not what we wanted, but it's the decisions being made in Jefferson City that really dictate what we get when you're not fully funding public schools and you're giving money to private entities. This is the bigger problem, and SPS and I are in line with that. Based on promises of flat funding expected from the state, SPS expects to receive $108,931,406 in state funding, down from $111,385,693 in the current year. In May, state lawmakers approved the budget that shortchanges funding for K-12 schools by $890 million, yet increases an annual payment into Most Scholars, the state's private school voucher program, to $60 million. Governor Mike Kehoe has not yet signed that budget. SPS enrollment is estimated to be around 24,000 students in the 2026-27 school year. That number includes all of its in-person K-12 schools, pre-kindergarten students in early childhood centers, and virtual students. Byline reads, budget approved. The budget approved by board members on Tuesday calls for revenues of $373,398,434 and expenditures of $374,046,190 during the 2026-27 school year. In addition to employee raises, the budget reduced the available workforce by the equivalent of more than 66 full-time equivalent positions. It includes $4.8 million to support training and personnel for its new behavior system and keeps in place existing stipends and bonuses for staff at some of the district's higher needs schools, adding Bissett Elementary to that program this year. The district is also planning for upgrades to HVAC systems at 4 schools and expanding Central High School's Harrison Stadium. The next byline reads, other adjustments in employee agreements. The collective bargaining process began in February. The district spent about 44 hours with SNEA and about 6.5 hours with Teamsters to reach their agreements. Bene said that because they foresaw budget limitations, the 9 groups of the SNEA bargained as one group. We knew going in that our budget was going to be really tight, and we wanted to stand firm as a collective, Bene said. We went into this together, leaning on each other. The 9 groups represented by the SNEA include educators, nurses, facility service workers, administrative assistants, specialized instructional support, general support staff, information technology workers, nutrition service workers, and police officers. More than 1,900 of the district's 3,500 employees are certified by the state as educators, including teachers, principals, and others. In addition to the salary increases, the agreements give employees an increase based on the stipend schedule from $44,000 to educators' bachelor's step 1. A change in payout of sick leave for eligible employees. The change allows compensation for an additional 10 days of accrued leave upon retirement or voluntary resignation. Bene said this agreement is particularly important to employees. An increase of 20 hours from 50 to 70 for special education employees to fill out required federal paperwork. A split class teaching stipend for eligible employees. Regular hourly rates for school nurses who take on substitute teaching duties. An increase in the uniform allowance for police officers. A cell phone stipend for eligible employees. And adjustments to training requirements keeping longtime employees from attending mandatory professional learning sessions intended for newer employees. Both officials with both SPS and SNEA spoke with the Daily Citizen last week in embargoed interviews before Tuesday's meeting pending board approval of the agreements. Bene, representing the SNEA for her second round of collective bargaining, said that the overall process went smoothly with many agreements between the two sides. There are some things we disagree on, but we were all willing to respect each other's opinion and have ideas about things that we need to take data on, Bene said. The next time we come together, we'll have more data and we can present it in a way that maybe we can start looking at things in a more creative way. Shaw said that the stipend was a concession crucial toward reaching the agreements. The district has worked on improving recruitment and retention of educators over the last few years, and competitive salaries against neighboring school districts are part of that strategy. Lathan said that while they couldn't afford everything, she appreciated some perks that the agreements give teachers, including the split class teaching stipend. I think that the one I felt was good that we accomplished for teachers who teach multiple grade levels, Lathan said. We are going to pay them additional dollars for having that additional preparation. That's a positive that we were able to agree with on both sides. This is a developing report and will be updated.
From the Springfield News-Leader, a second Missouri man has been charged in a plot to attack the White House UFC event. A second Missouri man has been arrested in connection to an alleged plot to attack the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House. Jordan Ringer was arrested June 21st in connection with the plot and faces federal charges in Missouri. His arrest came nearly a week after another Missouri man was arrested for his alleged involvement on June 15th. Quote, this case demonstrates the effectiveness of our law enforcement partners and U.S. attorneys working together to prevent violence before it can take place. U.S. Attorney R. Matthew Price for the Western District of Missouri said in a news release, we'll continue taking decisive action against those who seek to endanger national security and threaten the safety of Americans. Rinker was allegedly one of at least 7 people who conspired to plan and execute a mass casualty event targeting U.S. officials at the White House event June 14th, according to the FBI. Their alleged plan involved deploying drones armed with explosives in and around the event to force an evacuation, at which point they planned to deploy snipers to fire upon high-value targets within the fleeing crowd. And we see a picture from that event, the UFC Freedom 250 fight. Jordan Rinker reportedly exchanged guns and cash at UFC attacker plot is the next byline. Rinker, 28, of St. Joe, Missouri, has been charged with conspiracy to commit murder on White House grounds. He made his first appearance in federal court June 22nd. In the criminal complaint filed in the Western District of Missouri, it's alleged that Rinker accepted $1,200 in cash from a co-conspirator, Abraham Hermosillo Alvarez, to disperse among other co-conspirators involved in the UFC event attack plot. He also allegedly gave Alvarez a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun during an in-person meeting, with Alvarez giving Rinker a ballistic plate, face shield, 3D printer, 3D printing filament, night vision goggles, binoculars, a wire checker, and a mini computer in exchange. The FBI alleges Alvarez gave Rinker the printer to make drones. During a search of Rinker's home and storage unit, investigators found multiple firearms, including a 3D printed Glock-style pistol, as well as the equipment he received from Alvarez. The next byline reads, Kansas City World Cup match was a possible target. And we see a picture of one of the game's couple of the players. Rinker and Alvarez allegedly discussed potentially targeting a FIFA World Cup match in Kansas City on the 4th of July, according to court documents. Based on my training and experience, I believe in the above conversation includes a discussion by Alvarez in which Alvarez identifies the FIFA World Cup as a potential target, advises that they should prepare for an attack on July 4th, 2026, and he's telling the other co-conspirators to prepare to come to Missouri, per the affidavit obtained by the Kansas City news station KMBC. While there won't be any World Cup games in Kansas City on July 4th, a round of 32 match is set for July 3rd at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, developer seeks to build data center in Springfield as city council considers moratorium. Residents protested AI data centers outside Plaza Towers on Tuesday morning. As city council considers a moratorium on data centers, staff revealed that one developer is interested in creating a data center within a proposed new planned development. And what follows is a picture. Approximately 60 Springfield area residents protested unregulated growth of AI data centers on Tuesday, June 23rd, outside Plaza Towers in Springfield. During the protest, Biz 417 hosted a forum about data centers with Trent Overhue and other developers inside. As Springfield City Council considers enacting a pause of 120 days on accepting any new applications for data center projects, a group of about 60 people turned up in front of Plaza Towers to protest artificial intelligence data centers on Tuesday, June 23rd. Plaza Towers Sunshine Event Center was hosting a Biz 417 networking and business development event focused on data centers on Tuesday morning. The panel included Trent Overhue, the Plaza Towers owner and developer of a controversial small-scale data center being built near Mansfield. And what follows is a picture of a man holding up a sign that says, "Alexa, why is my utility bill so high?" And it is Kenny Gott of Springfield observing, "We can't stop progress, but we can regulate it, and that's what needs to happen." The protest is just raising awareness and showing solidarity for people who are out here with impending issues like their properties are being affected now, said Angie France of Springfield. All of us, I feel, are indirectly affected. During the rally, residents expressed concerns about the impact of data centers on water and air, noise pollution, and energy use. Attendees also shared a wide variety of reasons for being opposed to AI technology. Springfield has met with one developer who is interested in potentially creating a data center within a planned development on South National Avenue, according to City Manager David Cameron. City Council is expected to vote on the proposed data center moratorium during a special meeting on Monday, June 29th. The byline reads, "No definition of data center in city code." And there's a next picture showing James Ritzendaler speaking to city legal staff before using his time to advocate against potential data centers in the Springfield area on Monday, June 22nd in Springfield. If City Council approves the moratorium, city staff would use 120 days to analyze land use compatibility, impacts on electric, water, and wastewater infrastructure, and noise and air impacts, in addition to the potential economic impact of data center projects. Springfield will also begin a series of public meetings to gather community input. Cameron said the city should choose to extend the period of study and community input for longer than 120 days. I think this is just adding to the work we've already done because I cannot find a clear definition of data center in the city code, Cameron said. I think it's important that be established and defined, but I also think we have to define what we believe is being a good environmental steward of the resources we have. And what follows is a picture of David Cameron, the candidate for the job of Springfield City Manager, as he was interviewed by Springfield news outlets on Wednesday, April 16, 2025, at the Bush Municipal Building. The term data center is used to colloquially describe developments that vary widely in scale, size, purpose, and impact from traditional data storage facilities, such as the one in the Springfield Underground, to sprawling hyperscale facilities like the 2 million square foot AI factory being built in Independence. Cameron said part of city staff's work will include looking at existing planned developments and the compatibility of data centers within the mixed-use land type defined in the Forward SGF Comprehensive Plan. If you look at the term mixed use and what Forward SGF was discussing, did residents, when creating Forward SGF, understand that there would be a potential for having a data center or a data processing use in that same area? Cameron said during the Monday, June 22nd City Council meeting. The byline reads, staff described developers' concept for possible new data center, and what follows is a picture of one of the buildings at 2900 South National Avenue. Cameron said city staff have been discussing data centers for months, but pre-development discussions with the developer brought to the forefront all the work we have been doing. The possible planned development has multiple facets and some of the components of a data center, Cameron told the Daily Citizen. He did not specify the purpose or scale of the project, adding that it is like a cousin to a data center. In an email, Director of Planning and Development Steve Childers explained that city staff learned about the developer's concept during a pre-application meeting in June. The developer mentioned a data center being one specific use for the basement floor of a 2-level mixed-use office proposal, Childers stated. The property is in a planned development that allows for data processing services, which staff does not think is the same as what we know as modern-day data centers, Cora Scott, spokesperson for Springfield, stated in an email. Scott confirmed that the site being considered for the development is at 2900 South National Avenue. The property encompasses about 2.8 acres, including 2 medical buildings and 30,876 square feet of commercial space. A company called NS1A1 LLC acquired the property in March 2025, according to records from the Greene County Assessor's Office. Documents available on the Missouri Secretary of State's site indicate the NSA-A1 LLC was created in February 2025 and has a principal office address in Harrisonville, Missouri. Byline reads, I won't see the damage done, but I have an obligation to the young ones. And what follows is a picture of a protester, Cindy White of Marshfield, was at the protest for the kids. I won't live to see if there's any damage from AI centers, but they will. And she's holding up a sign that says, there is no Planet B. This spring, the community in Webster County reacted with uproar when developers quietly began construction on a small-scale AI data center. The county commission retained legal counsel to determine its next steps. There is no planning and zoning commission in Webster County. We found out after the ground was broken that there was a data center being built in Marshfield, and where there have been no meetings, no transparency at all, said Cindy White of Marshfield. I'm out here at my age representing for the younger people, she continued. I won't see the damage done, but I have an obligation to the young ones. I don't want them to ask, Grandma, what did you do? And I say, nothing. And what follows is a picture of approximately 60 Springfield area residents protesting unregulated growth of AI data centers on Tuesday, June 23rd, outside Plaza Towers in Springfield. During the protest, Bid 417 hosted a forum about data centers with Trent Overhue and other developers inside. White and many of the other people protesting outside Plaza Towers said they were concerned about data centers damaging the environment and water supply. Rex Yabanez, who described himself as a tenant leader in Springfield, said he is concerned utility costs would rise in Springfield if a new data center is developed. Conditions for working-class people would only get worse with a data center implemented in Springfield, Ibanez said. Springfield City Council member Brandon Jensen spoke to residents about their concerns during the protest. He stated that he intends to vote yes on implementing a moratorium on accepting data center applications. I'm really just trying to understand what concerns folks actually have to make sure that the analysis and the report that's prepared by staff provides responses to those concerns, Jensen said.
Missouri Parks Tax won every county in 2016. Backers worry about crowded primary this year. And this is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Under state government and politics, the renewal has long been a safe bet, but supporters fear anti-sales tax messaging around Amendment 5 could spill over. And we see a picture of a stream bank stabilization project in southern Callaway County. This is supported by Missouri's 1/10 cent sales tax for parks and soil and water conservation. For more than 40 years, Missourians have paid a small sales tax that supports state parks and soil and water protection programs. Now, this year, it's on the August 4th ballot for a 10-year renewal. After barely passing the first time it was on the ballot in 1984, the tax has been renewed 4 times by increasing margins, most recently in 2016, when it received 80% of the statewide vote and passed in every county. Backers of the tax, a coalition of farmers, state park enthusiasts, and environmentalists, would be happier about its chances for renewal if it was the only question on the primary ballot. But it's not. Strong opposition groups have formed to defeat 2 measures sent to the ballot by lawmakers, and backers worry those campaigns could generate opposition to all ballot proposals. One, Amendment 5, directly involves sales tax because it would give lawmakers a 5-year window to increase the state sales tax rate or add new items to the list of goods and services subject to sales tax to generate revenue to reduce or eliminate the state personal income tax. Quote, "The challenge is when voters go to the polls and they have all this stuff on the ballot," said Jonathan Ratliff, a Republican political consultant working for passage of Amendment 1. "When they're hearing millions of dollars of TV ads encouraging them to vote no on this amendment or that amendment, then they just say, okay, I've heard all the TV ads, I'm supposed to go in and vote no on these things because I don't like them." Through Friday, backers of Amendment 5 have purchased $2 million of broadcast ads. The 4 opposition groups have yet to make ad buys, but their funding reports show they can match or exceed supporters in the 6 weeks until the vote. So far, Citizens for State Park, Soil, and Water has raised $109,221. Spillover from other campaigns isn't the only concern for backers, Ratliff said. The question is on the primary ballot when turnout is much lower than in a November general election. In most years, voters in the primary are overwhelmingly Republican and typically a tax-averse electorate. And Ratliff said the campaign has to counter confusion about the difference between the Parks and Soils tax and the permanent Department of Conservation tax. The Conservation Agency, which is responsible for wildlife, fisheries, and forests, has been criticized for high executive salaries as well as its handling of chronic wasting disease in white-tailed deer. A controversial culling program ended in December. Because it has conservation in it, some people might get confused about that, and so we're just making sure that they know ours is different. The biggest contribution to the campaign so far is from the Missouri Soybean Association, which gave $50,000 last fall, 10 days after the committee was formed. When the association's governing board discussed the renewal, members were unanimous in praising what the program has done for farmers, said Ben Trevelos, the association's director of policy. That contribution remains the largest donation so far to the campaign. Quote, "They're all pretty vocally said this is a big deal for each and every one of our communities," Trevelos said in an interview with The Independent. Other farm groups that have helped include the Missouri Corn Growers, which donated $25,000, and Missouri Cattlemen, which gave $10,000. The Missouri Parks Association has also contributed $10,000. Ratliff said he expects national associations to donate soon and hopes the campaign can raise $1 million overall. The 1/10 of 1% tax is split evenly between state parks and soil and water conservation districts and generates about $140 million a year. It's one of 3 earmarked state sales taxes. The other 2, 1% for public schools and 1/8 of 1% for the Department of Conservation, and the only one that must be regularly renewed by voters. If renewed, the overall state sales tax rate would remain at 4.225%, including the 3% tax for general revenue. For the budget year that starts July 1st, the tax will provide $42.5 million for operations in 57 state parks and 36 historic sites, with accumulated reserves allowing for $59 million for new maintenance and construction projects. Soil and water conservation districts are slated to receive $69.7 million for grants, supporting projects that control erosion and stabilize streams. The benefits of the tax, bakers say, range from free admission at every state park to enormous gains in controlling soil erosion. Before the tax was enacted, Missouri croplands lost an average of 10.8 tons of soil a year, a rate that has since been cut by more than half. And what follows is a picture of Missouri State Parks employee teaching a young visitor how to use some different activities during a June 13th celebration of the park's 100th anniversary. The Missouri State Parks did turn 100 this year, and the anniversary of the first park was celebrated earlier this year at Sam A. Baker State Park in St. Francois County. Having a reliable or dedicated funding source, such as the sales tax, provides a predictable way to provide public services, says Laura Hendrickson, who's worked in state parks for 30 years and currently serves as division director. Not only does the tax pay for maintaining basic amenities like trails and restrooms, it supports resource protection and restoration, she said. It allows us to plan out for capital improvements and make sure that our infrastructure is solid in the years to come. And that's a huge part of having a positive experience and being able to go outside with your family for solitude or maybe a family reunion. With inflation eroding family budgets, the campaign will emphasize the value the state provides, Ratliff said. Some voters might want to cut their costs by voting against renewal, he said. The tax adds 10 cents to the cost of a $100 purchase. In exchange, Missouri is one of 8 states where admission to state parks is free. The Soil and Water Conservation Program provides grants, with most requiring cost sharing with the landowner. The money goes to soil and water conservation districts in every county of the state and supports terracing of cropland, stream bank stabilization, and other practices that prevent soil from entering waterways. The program works alongside federal programs like the Conservation Reserve Program, which pays for farmers to refrain from planting on highly erodible land, Ratliff said. Since it was enacted, many farming practices have changed. Instead of deep plowing, no-till agriculture is common. You're going to see more cover cropping systems now, Travelers says. You're going to see more terracing and other types of conservation practices implemented on individual farms, and therefore subsequently have significantly reduced soil erosion. That again goes back to more and more clean water for our rural communities and just our state as a whole. If the tax is defeated, maintaining state parks and continuing soil and water grants would depend on how much general revenue the legislature was willing to allocate. The tax would expire on June 30th, 2028 if it's not renewed, and that's the date that the General Revenue Fund will be $627 million short of what would be needed to sustain spending at current levels. When the tax was first enacted, Missouri spent about $7.7 million from general revenue for state parks, equal to about $24.6 million after adjusting for inflation. In the budget for the coming year, the general revenue appropriation for state parks is $214,970. Replacing the $42.5 million in sales tax to operate state parks would be difficult, Hendrickson said. It would be a serious challenge, obviously, Hendrickson says. Not only in this fiscal year or the next, in any fiscal year it would be a challenge because you're competing against all kinds of things. An earmark tax established in the Constitution protects the money from being raided when budgets get tight, said State Representative Bruce Sassman, a Republican from Bland. Sassman is alone among lawmakers in backing his support for renewal of the sales tax with a contribution to the campaign. He gave $400 from his personal funds on March 13th. It is so obvious what that money is to use for, especially in the parks tax, and how it benefits Missourians, Sassman said. There are some tax dollars that we pay that go to the legislature, and the legislature just spends them willy-nilly, and sometimes I think we spend money like drunken sailors. There would be no support for sustaining parks funding if the tax is defeated, he said. The legislature would strip funding from parks if they could, Sassman said, and this is just a perfect way to assure that parks and soil and water conservation get funding.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Clint Gerlich, longtime voice for iHeartRadio in Springfield, is laid off after 19 years. Gerlich was vice president of programming and often an on-air voice at 105.9 KGBX, Alice 95.5, 100.5 The Wolf, US 97, and Fox Sports 1400. And what follows is a picture of Clint Gerlich capturing a bite to eat during a live broadcast at Silver Dollar City. He was laid off on June 23rd at iHeartRadio. Clint Gerlich, vice president of the programming for iHeartRadio in Springfield, says he lost his job on Tuesday, June 23rd, due to a national reduction in force. Gerlich, 42, of Republic, has been with iHeartRadio, formerly known as Clear Channel Radio, for 19 years. He was notified Tuesday morning. It was a phone call, and I felt terrible because the guy who called me is my closest supervisor, and I've been in that role before, and it's not fun, he said. I felt bad for the guy. Gerlich was mowing his 3.5 acres at home when contacted by the Springfield Daily Citizen. For some 18 months, reporters at the Springfield Daily Citizen have been writing and recording weekday news scripts that Gerlich edits and uses on air in the afternoon. Gerlich said it was too early to tell if the loss of his job was good news or bad news. We'll find out, he said. I did a morning show on 100.5 The Wolf for a long time, he said. I did a morning show on 105.9 KGBX. He was also on Alice 95.5. He did many commercials and live broadcasts over the years. In addition to KGBX, Alice 95.5, and The Wolf, he was program director for US 97 and Fox Sports 1400. He said he was the only person to lose their job in Springfield. I'm the only person who's programmed the radio in Springfield, so there's nobody else here, he said. Gerlich is married with 2 children, 10-year-old daughter Cece and 7-year-old son Bronson. His wife Stephanie has a full-time job. He'll probably have some extra time for fishing now. My son and I like to fish, he said. We actually caught the biggest fish either one of us has ever caught at Cape Fair on Friday last week. And what follows is a picture of his son Bronson Gerlich showing off the fish that him and his dad caught. He was asked if he had had enough time to form a plan after losing his job. Well, I gotta finish mowing this lawn, that's for sure, he said. An attempt to reach iHeartRadio for comment was not successful.
And a Missouri ice cream shop has been named best in the state, and here is why. Well, if you think you know the best ice cream shop in Missouri, ask 10 people. You'll likely get 10 different answers. Cheapism, which is a website focused on budget living, is weighing in on the debate with its recently released list of the best ice cream shops in every state. And here's what it selected as Missouri's best ice cream spot. And the next byline read, well, what's the best ice cream shop in Missouri? And this is according to Cheapism. The media outlets selected the winners by scouring through Reddit threads, Yelp reviews, Google ratings, and local favorites to find the best ice cream shop in every state. Factoring all of that in, the honor of Missouri's best ice cream shop goes to, drumroll, Clementine's Ice Cream in St. Louis. Clementine's is a locally owned artisanal ice cream shop. It was founded in 2015, and it is known for its, quote, naughty, also known as alcohol-infused and nice non-alcoholic offerings, as well as non-dairy options. The company has expanded from its beginnings as a single shop to multiple locations, boasting 11 shops across the Midwest with 3 more on the way. And our next byline, we're wondering this, what's Clementine's best ice cream flavor? Well, Clementine's has also landed on Food and Wine's list of essential ice cream flavors for all 50 states with its gooey butter cake ice cream. Oh, that sounds good. The magazine praised the super creamy texture of the cream cheese ice cream and appreciated the large chunks of Clementine's homemade gooey butter cake mixed throughout. Well, of course, you might be wondering, what is gooey butter cake? Next byline. Well, for those not in the know, gooey butter cake is one of the Show Me State's best kept secrets, with its origins tracing back to St. Louis in the 1930s. The cake allegedly came about when a baker accidentally reversed the butter to flour ratio while making a batch of coffee cake, resulting in a gooey custard-like filling. Given it was the Great Depression, the bakery decided to sell the resulting cake rather than waste it, making it a hit with locals in the process. It became so popular, in fact, that other bakeries in the city soon began making their own versions, and an iconic Missouri treat was born. And now, how to find a Clementine's near you. Clementine's has more than a dozen locations, mostly centered around St. Louis. It also has locations in Kansas City and Bentonville, Arkansas. A Clementine's is scheduled to open in Columbia this summer, and what follows is a map to find the nearest Clementine's location near you. Unfortunately, we got to get one closer to Springfield. And though good news, you can also get Clementine's shipped directly to your front door via Goldbelly.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, City Council passes resolution to plan $32 million in bonds for Andy's Frozen Custard. Andy's has said the incentives may be necessary for the company to keep its headquarters in Springfield. And what follows is a picture of the Andy's Frozen Custard's headquarters in downtown Springfield, and they're in a building constructed in 1943 in the former home of Harry Cooper's Supply. Springfield City Council passed a resolution on Monday, June 22nd to allow city staff to come up with a development plan that would issue up to $32 million in bonds for the construction of a new headquarters for Andy's Frozen Custard. The resolution that was passed acts as a green light for city staff to work with the company to come up with a development plan and bond proposal. The affirming vote does not issue any bonds or approve the use of any incentives for the project. Earlier this month, Andy's Frozen Custards requested up to $32 million in bonds from the city to build its headquarters in Springfield and not move the project to another city or state. The company has requested the city issue Chapter 100 industrial development bonds, which allows companies to develop projects with property tax abatement. Chapter 100 also allows the city to grant sales tax exemption on building materials. The resolution passed 7-0 with 2 council members absent, and there was no public comment. The majority of the discussion of the resolution was to further define the process and the timeline for the industrial development bonds. The city is early in the process of issuing the bonds, said Matt Schaefer, Assistant Director at the Department of Workforce and Economic Vitality, who presented the resolution to the council. And what follows is a picture of Matt Schaefer explaining the council bill related to Andy's Frozen Custard's new corporate office on Monday, June 22nd, 2026 in Springfield. Now that a resolution of intent has passed, city staff and the company will begin to prepare plans for the project and the issuance of bonds. There will be a notice of a public hearing on the bond issue, and a cost-benefit analysis will be sent to students. If the resolution is approved, that would give the green light to the company to proceed with preparing the industrial development plan, the cost-benefit analysis, and all the associated documents, Schaefer told council members before they voted on the resolution, and then it would proceed to city council for a public hearing and consideration. Schaefer further explained that the bonds serve strictly as a funding mechanism to implement the tax abatement. There is minimal risk to the city because the lease agreement paid by the company services the debt. Andy's Frozen Custard unveiled plans for its new headquarters in East Springfield at the northeast corner of East Division Street and North Lecompte Road. The project will include more than 43,000 square feet of office space and 9,000 square feet of warehouse space. It will be built in 2 phases, with the first set complete in 2023 and the second in 2028 and the second in 2033. The property currently is a 10-acre tract that is predominantly wooded, Schaefer said. You have 1 or 2 existing single-family residential structures on it, currently assessed as residential property. The timeline for development plan is up to the city and developer, but Schaefer said it will likely come together quickly. The developer is chomping at the bit to get this project to proceed, Schaefer said. There may be an industrial development plan submitted very soon. Andy says it has outgrown its current headquarters in a leased building in downtown Springfield.
And here are a couple of events that are coming up a little bit later this year from the Springfield News-Leader Drury University basketball programs, inviting fans to a free SummerSlam. In appreciation of the greatest fan base in NCAA Division II athletics, Drury men's and women's basketball are hosting SummerSlam. And it happened yesterday with fans encouraged to join the Panthers. I hope that went well for them. And also Springfield Little Theater revealing a 2026-2027 season lineup. Springfield Little Theater has announced the lineup for its 2026-27 main stage season, featuring 7 productions at the Landers Theater, 311 East Walnut Street here in Springfield. The season will be running from September 2026 through June 2027, according to a community announcement. Les Miserables will kick off the season, running September 11th through the 27th. Musical tells the story of Jean Valjean, a former convict who seeks redemption in 19th century France. Arsenic and Old Lace, this is a good one. A comedy about 2 elderly women who poisoned lonely old men. That will follow on October 16th through the 25th. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer will be running November 27th through December 13th, offering a family-friendly holiday production. Once Upon a Mattress, a musical comedy based on the fairy tale The Princess and the Pea, will be running January 29th through February 13th. Dear Evan Hansen, a Tony Award-winning musical about a high school student with social anxiety, will run March 12th through the 28th. Peter Pan Goes Wrong, a comedy about a disastrous production of Peter Pan, will be running April 23rd through May 9th. And Mean Girls, a musical based on a 2004 film, will close out the season June 11th through the 27th. Tickets going on sale. Emerald level sustaining memberships and patron memberships did go on sale June 12th, with season subscriptions available starting on July 6th, according to the announcement. Single tickets for all season productions will be available beginning at noon Central Time on July 13th. The Springfield Little Theater box office can be reached at 417-869-1334 or visit their website, springfieldlittletheater.org.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Studies suggest new library could do well in Southwest Springfield. Plan evaluates needs at every branch and offers suggestions on how to grow. And what follows is a picture of Dana Hubbard of Paragon Architecture speaking to the Springfield Greene County Library District Board of Trustees on June 16th. If the Springfield Greene County Library District decides to build a new branch, a building plan suggests Southwest Springfield near Battlefield could be the best fit. A facilities master plan commissioned by the library's Board of Trustees was presented to board members June 16th during a regular meeting. Completed by Paragon Architecture, the plan took stock of the library's current branches, including building conditions. Getting the study done was a goal of the library's 5-year strategic plan. According to its summary, the plan finds that the library's branches are serving their communities, but several of them are supporting more than their systems, layouts, leases, and support spaces can handle. The board took no action after hearing a presentation from Paragon officials last week. Executive Director Ed Walton said the board will use the plan's advice if the board finds itself in a position to grow. Now the process is for the executive team and leadership team to take that report, evaluate how we implement and what we implement and where we implement, Walton said. And what follows is a map of all the libraries in Springfield and Greene County, and there are 10 of them, including 5 in the city of Springfield. The library operates 10 branches across the county, 5 of which are owned and 5 of which are leased. It recently completed 3 construction projects partially funded with federal COVID-era recovery grants. The owned branches include 4 of the 5 locations within Springfield city limits: the Library Center, Library Station, Midtown Carnegie, and Schweitzer Brentwood. The district also owns Republic. Park Central in Springfield, as well as branches in Ashgrove, Fairgrove, Stratford, and Willard, are leased from property owners. The study paired those locations with population growth trends, finding that over the last 3 years, the areas with the biggest growth trends are in Stratford, south of Willard, and the 65804 zip code in southeast Springfield. All 10 of the branches serve a variety of community-based needs. Plan designers encourage the board to think about how expansions can benefit the entire system and not just a branch where growth happens to be. Some of the implications having to do with the planning based on that information is how that access should be evaluated as an entire library system, said Dana Hubbard, the K-12 market lead for Paragon. While each of the branches has a very unique personality and serves a very unique need, the implication would be, how does this all work together as a system? The growth highlights where capacity should be assessed and not necessarily expanded upon. Jared Younglove, project manager for Paragon, said that the plan was developed through a study of building conditions and service evaluations. It offers short-term and long-term recommendations for each branch. The byline reads, Springfield locations have individual needs. The 5 branches located in Springfield are placed from north to south, but not from east to west. 2 of them, Park Central and Midtown Carnegie, are located less than a mile from each other. The study does not recommend closing any Springfield branches. It offered recommendations on how to best grow all 5. Finding a new location for the district's administrative offices would free up more space at the library center. The library station could use an addition for more meeting space. Schweitzer Brentwood could use a reconfiguration before making any changes and does not offer much space for growth. Midtown Carnegie, the oldest building in the system, requires more maintenance and accessibility work. Park Central could either expand its collection or become more focused on meeting space. The strongest candidate for a new branch would be somewhere in the southwest part of the city, with West Bypass and the city of Battlefield showing strong growth pressure. The city also encourages the development of hubs to expand service in the northeast and northwest corners of the city. The library maintains 2 automatic kiosks on East and West Chestnut Expressway. The study summary presented last week makes no mention of those kiosks. And the next byline reads, lease is up for Fairgrove building in 2029. One of the more pressing decisions the library faces involves the Fairgrove branch. A new location will have to be found because it will lose its lease in 2029. The building is owned by the City of Fairgrove and does not intend to renew the lease past that, Younglove said during the meeting, and what follows is a picture of the Fairgrove branch attached to Fairgrove City Hall. Picture of the library. The deadline is actually sooner than that. City Clerk Sarah Davis on Tuesday said that the lease is set to expire in 2027. The library is in the same building as its City Hall, and the city needs the space for expanding its services. Davis said that the city granted a nearby plot of land to the library for building a new branch. Additionally, the study encourages upgrades to the Stratford branch. The area's growth may warrant investigating the possibility of a future branch. Because the building used for the Ash Grove branch is limited, the study encourages a deeper look into combining with Willard, which could use more space for youth and for programming. Because a new branch was recently completed, the study recommends only outdoor development for Republic, such as a new sidewalk or garden spaces. And the next byline reads, plan calls for much more study before action. That study cautioned that not every recommendation is ready for action. While some plans, such as the green space development at Republic and maintenance needs at Midtown Carnegie, are ready to move forward, others require more refinement or validation, such as combining Willard and Ash Grove or moving the central administration out of the library center. Any future projects will be decided in accordance with the library's strategic plan. Walton said the plan helps give direction to the library's vision by giving an expert opinion on building needs. It gives us that concept of how we move forward in meeting all of our community's needs, because we are not doing that today, Walton said during the meeting, and I think that this gives us a good roadmap of how to move forward in making those decisions. And reporters note, this report has been edited to include information about Fairgrove City Hall.
Springfield shares opinions, suggestions on data center regulations. A couple of key points here. Springfield City Council is considering a 120-day pause on new data center applications. Residents and activists have protested potential data centers, citing concerns over water usage and pollution. And City Utilities has created a task force to ensure new data centers pay for their own infrastructure costs. Data centers that train and run artificial intelligence models are currently a hot-button issue across the United States, including in the Missouri Ozarks. On June 22nd, the Springfield City Council heard a special ordinance that will put a 120-day waiting period, about 4 months, on accepting or processing any applications to establish or expand data centers in the city. The ordinance proposed by Mayor Jeff Schrag will be voted on during a June 29th council workshop. Less than 24 hours after 4 members of the public spoke out against data centers that train and run artificial intelligence models, about 40 people gathered on the corner of Sunshine Street and Glenstone Avenue the morning of June 23rd to protest data centers in the Ozarks. They were there at the same time as a Biz 417 event described as, quote, a practical discussion about what data centers are, what's at stake for Southwest Missouri, and what business leaders need to know right now. Protesters expressed concerns about water usage, pollution, and information security should data centers with an AI focus come to the Ozarks. According to a study from Pew Research, residents have reason to be worried. As of April 2026, 67% of planned data centers are in rural areas, with 87% of existing data centers located in urban areas. Here's what city administrators, utility providers, and members of the public are saying about data centers here in the Ozarks. And the first byline is City Admin. Existing application is, quote, not driving this discussion. Schrag's resolution would delay the acceptance and processing of applications relating to the evaluation, establishment, servicing, or expansion of a data center facility for a period of approximately 120 days, providing an exception for certain circumstances, and require the city manager to provide a report on recommended actions that would address the unique characteristics, demands, and potential cumulative effects of data center development. The ordinance would include data centers that serve purposes beyond AI training and processing, including cloud computing, email servicing, data storage, and Bitcoin or crypto mining. According to City Manager David Cameron, there is an existing application for a data center in Springfield, but he says that neither the application nor, quote, pushback from the community is driving this discussion. The data center application is for an existing building with mixed-use zoning. Cameron said that the conversation around data centers has been one he and his staff have been monitoring for nearly a decade. The resolution is an attempt at creating best practices, no matter the level of the center. Cameron also said that he doesn't want to limit it to 120 days, but that the number is a good starting point. What we're looking to do is create a framework or at least some sort of criteria and more public discussion, Cameron said. We've been having conversation and reflecting across the country what's being discussed. How are we having that conversation if it's being discussed because it scales from 5 megawatts to 500 megawatts? He said that the conversation also has to consider whether the city has the ability to serve a data center according to energy needs, whether it would impact the city's ability to grow, how it fits in with the Forward Springfield plan, and how environmental impacts would manifest. In response to a question from Councilmember Brandon Jensen, Cameron said that he anticipates public discussion to remain civil, partially due to the fact that the city is, quote, getting out ahead of it and not asking for opinions on an already existing project. Quote, I think this helps because we're opening the conversation, not building it around a project. Jensen also asked that the city's analysis include a distinction between traditional data center cooling management and closed-loop water systems, the latter of which reduces water consumption. He also asked that the city include source documentation rather than rely on published reports prepared by data center developer consultants. The next byline reads, City Utilities created a task force and review a process. And we see a picture of signs which were put up protesting AI data centers in Springfield during the recent meeting. Recently, City Utilities published a page on its website with information about data centers and how the utility plans to approach developers seeking a spot in Springfield. Quote, we're committed to ensuring our existing customers do not shoulder the costs caused by data centers, Dwight Folk, president of CEO, said on the website. As interest in data centers grows, we're taking deliberate steps to make sure new development pays its own way. According to the webpage, CU developed a large load task force and a review process that puts existing customers first. For example, the utility says that existing customers will not subsidize data centers or upgrades. It also says that if a project will affect the reliability of electricity, it cannot move forward as proposed unless and until the large load customer commits to paying for system improvements to ensure reliability. However, once those customers comply with state and federal regulations as well as local permitting and CU's established service standards, CU must provide service. CU already serves some small traditional data centers and other types of large use customers, but newer data centers often require more processing speed, which increases power usage. The utility says its job is to do the following: follow the law, serve customers fairly, ensure large energy users pay their fair share, protect reliability, protect local resources like water, and provide honest, clear information. The next byline, public speakers want longer delay or all-out ban. And we see another picture of protesters holding signs opposing artificial intelligence and data centers. This was a group opposing yesterday. While many members of the public appreciated the fact that the City Council was looking to enshrine discourse, many expressed reservations about the 4-month delay not being enough and reiterated concerns. To me, the approximate 4 months that is being proposed here is not enough to carefully research the pros and cons of these facilities and to obtain sufficient feedback from your constituents on this matter and for their voices to be heard, said Rob Yanis, who proposed increasing the delay to 8 months. I'd rather see this being done right and to have the concerns of the community be heard instead of this being rushed in the name of profit. Miski Heskett, a candidate for Missouri's 7th Congressional District, said that the proposed ordinance is a start, but explained that data centers are not in line with what she's heard from prospective constituents in the last 2 years. I've heard many of our neighbors express that their primary concerns in life lie in affordability and protecting our resources, Heskett said. Reckless AI data center developments do not make our life cheaper, and they threaten our resources for no benefit to locals. Two speakers, both affiliated with Clean Earth for Kids, called for a total ban on data centers. In addition to the environmental impacts, John Botoroff highlighted the potential economic impacts down the line, warning that the AI bubble is likely going to burst soon and cause greater problems than its 2000s predecessor, the dot-com bubble. He also pointed to other areas as a cautionary tale, both in how citizens are impacted and how developers skirt regulations. Quote, please don't destroy our environment and farmland for short-term gains for developers. We've already seen residents of towns and cities being told they don't get water because the new data center gets priority. The same thing is happening for electricity. There's also a documented history of these developers ignoring regulations, be it building their own power plants or just piping things in and dumping whatever. If the fine is cheaper than doing it right, they will pay the fine. They don't care. Suzanne Hume, founder of Clean Earth for Kids, expressed concerns about health impacts down the line. Quote, "Are you all going to be responsible for helping children and pregnant women not get cancer from PFAS because our water is poisoned? Do you want to be responsible for that? Do you want to be responsible for lead and heavy metals?"
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Fire Union rejects city's pay increase offer, questions impasse procedure. A proposal amendment to the union's collective bargaining agreement with the city called for a 2% across-the-board pay increase. And what follows is a picture of Devin Keeney, president of the Southern Missouri Professional Firefighters, LAFF Local 152, sitting in the crowd before addressing the Springfield City Council on Monday, June 22nd in Springfield. It's back to the drawing board for the City of Springfield and the International Association of Firefighters, Southern Missouri Professional Firefighters Local 152, after the union Springfield shop rejected the city's offer of a 2% across-the-board pay increase in addition to merit steps. Scheduled in a first reading and public hearing at the Springfield City Council's June 22nd meeting, in the event an agreement was reached, a proposed amendment to the city's 2024 collective bargaining agreement with the union, which would have implemented the pay increase, was never taken up after the bill's sponsor, Councilmember Greg Hosmer, requested his sponsorship to be withdrawn. The Springfield shop members of Southern Missouri Professional Firefighters, which represents more than 400 firefighters across the region, voted unanimously on June 19th to reject the city's offer, according to President Devin Keeney. The 2% increase would have applied to all salary grades listed on an 80 and 112-hour salary schedules, which include firefighters, equipment operators, rescue specialists, lieutenants, and captains. Keeney, speaking during the petition's remonstrances and communications portion of the June 22nd meeting, as there was no public hearing on the amendment, questioned the city's interpretation of the impasse procedure laid out in General Ordinance 6090, approved by the City Council in 2013 following a 2012 Missouri Supreme Court ruling that the strengthened collective bargaining rights of public employees. And next byline reads, previous ordinance calls for a non-binding advisory arbitrator. And it follows a picture of Councilmember Craig Hosmer attending the June 22nd meeting of the Springfield City Council. General Ordinance 6090, in part, directs the city and labor organizations to resolve disputes over certain collective bargaining issues by submitting their respective versions of the matter to a non-binding advisory arbitrator. The arbitrator's written opinion is then submitted to City Council, which decides whether to accept their recommendation or instruct the parties to continue negotiations in order to arrive at a mutually acceptable collective bargaining agreement. While emphasizing that he is not trying to bargain with City Council or discuss the details of the collective bargaining process, Keeney said the city has adopted a new interpretation of the ordinance, one that takes away our right to a fair impasse procedure. Until this year, for more than a decade, that ordinance has worked and as intended and has been followed consistently by both labor and management, including Local 152 and the Springfield Police Officers Association. Keeney told council members, firefighters and police officers do not have the right to strike, nor would we ever engage in a work slowdown or anything that would compromise emergency response in this city. Because of that, a fair impasse procedure is not optional. It is what ensures we have a meaningful and just voice in the collective bargaining process. Recognizing that he is unable to comment on collective bargaining issues, Hosmer, who was on the City Council when General Ordinance 6090 was approved in 2013, expressed support for the impasse procedure. I always thought that provision was something to benefit council because it gave us the opportunity to have a third-party neutral tell us what was fair, rather than listening to the union or listening to self. so. Where was it? Hold on. Oh, listening to staff. I'm so sorry. So I always looked at this as something that was beneficial to council. I think it's obviously beneficial to the city and beneficial to the union. But to me, that's something that the council should be looking at and making sure that we try to put that back in place, in my opinion. The Daily Citizen has reached out to the city about its interpretation of the impasse procedure and will update this story if a response is received. Cora Scott, the city's director of public information and civic engagement, said the city cannot speak in detail on the current impasse with the Southern Missouri professional firefighters, noting that doing so would be considered negotiating in bad faith. Asked what the next steps would be, Scott said negotiations are ongoing. The byline reads, Spring Forward SGF sales tax funded double-digit pay increases in 2025. Last year, the City Council approved double-digit pay raises for both firefighters and police officers, funded with revenues from the 1.4 cent portion of the 3.4 cent Spring Forward SGF sales tax approved by voters in the November 2024 election, earmarked for remaining contributions to the Police Fire Pension Fund and increases to police and fire pay to a level competitive with peer cities. Specifically, the city sought to elevate Springfield into the upper third of a list of 15 benchmark cities on how it compensates police officers and firefighters, which was a priority ad for the Hawk Citizens Commission on Community Investment in crafting this 3.4 cent sales tax. With police salaries in the middle third tier and firefighter salaries in the lower third, there was more ground to cover on firefighter salaries to bring them into the upper third, according to previous reporting. As such, firefighters received more significant pay increase from the new sales tax, with most firefighters in 80 and 112 hour salary schedules seeing a 22% pay raise. Fire marshals categorized under salary grade 7 on both schedules received a 23.5% across the board pay increase. This was in addition to a merit step increase for 45.3% of fire union employees. Between 2024 and 2025, fire union employees eligible for merit step increases saw an average wage growth of 34.25%, while employees at the top of their steps received an average wage of growth of approximately 26%. Meanwhile, police officers assigned to steps 6 through 14 of law enforcement schedule, LES 2 salary grade, and for all steps out of the 5 and 10 salary grades listed on the current union salary schedule, encompassing most officers, corporals, and sergeants, received a 15.5% across-the-board increase under the public safety portion of the Spring Forward SGF sales tax. While the Springfield Police Officers Association, SPOA, ultimately ratified the 2025 amendment to its collective bargaining agreement with the city, which implemented the pay increase, SPOA President Justin Hollingworth at the time questioned the discrepancy between the raises for police officers and firefighters. Last year's raises increased starting pay for firefighters to $57,241.60, while police officers' starting pay went to $56,825.60, increasing to $63,128 upon graduation from the police academy, according to previous Daily Citizen reporting. Next byline reads, Council approves amendments to agreements with SPOA IBEW. Also on June 22nd, City Council approved a series of amendments to the city's collective bargaining agreements with the SPOA and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, AFL-CIO Union Number 753 IBEW, ratified by the respective units. Under the amended SPOA agreement, the city will implement a 1.3% across-the-board pay increase, in addition to merit steps through steps 6 through 14 of LES 2 and for all steps of LES 5 and 10. Step 5 of LES 2 will be increased so that it is 10% less than Step 6. Darla Morrison, the city's Director of Human Resources, said at the June 8th meeting that the 1.3% pay increase would keep Springfield's police salaries within the top third among peer communities. Additionally, the city will create a new top step 15 for all grades on the LES union salary schedule. For each grade, the base pay rate of step 15 will be approximately 2.5% higher than the base pay rate for step 14. Bargaining unit members at step 14 as of July 11, 2026 will be moved to step 15 on July 12th. Morrison said the new top step was necessary to address longevity issues and reward tenured officers. The city has 2 agreements with the IBEW, one with the Crafts, Trades, and Labor Employee Group, CTL, and another with the Professional, Administrative, and Technical Employee Group, PAT. Amendments to both agreements include merit step increases and a new top step 13. The base pay rate of step 13 in the CTL employee group will be 3.5% higher than that of step 12 and 2.5% higher in the PAT employee group. The city will also increase the clothing and boot allowance for both employee groups to $470. To address issues with recruitment of maintenance and entry-level positions, the city will close steps 5 to 7 of salary grade 5 on the CTL employee group salary schedule. Meanwhile, the amended collective bargaining agreement for the PAT employee groups includes a 1% across-the-board pay increase for all salary grades. The City Council also approved pay increases and creation of new top steps for police, fire, protection, CTL, and PAT non-union salary schedules. And next byline reads, Keeney commends water rescue efforts. Keeney prefaced his comments on the impasse procedure by commending the efforts of union members and administration in the wake of an incident on Lake Springfield on June 14th, in which a mother and her 3 daughters were swept over the dam under the bridge that takes South Kissick over the lake. The youngest daughter, 12-year-old Oralee Stani, was rescued and transported to the hospital. Oralee's sisters, 17-year-old Sophie Stani and 19-year-old Andrew Stani, died in the incident. Their mother, 42-year-old Taylor Stani, is presumed dead. Oralee has since been released from the hospital along with 3 members of the Springfield Fire Department's water rescue team injured when a rescue boat capsized. The bravery described by our water rescue team personnel and all who responded was heroic, Keeney said. Members came in on short notice on their days off to ensure coverage in the city. Others stood by the hospital to support injured colleagues. Our peer support team also ensured that everyone involved is receiving the mental health care and support that they need. What happened during and afterwards reflects the professionalism, compassion, and courage our firefighters demonstrate every day in this community. City Manager David Cameron also expressed his appreciation for the SFD's efforts as well as those of the 16 other agencies involved in the response during his report at the beginning of the meeting. It took an enormous amount of resources and care and attention, and seeing it firsthand at the actual site and what was at stake, all the agencies that had come together around to see the camaraderie at the hospital of the officers caring for their own, those that were leaving the hospital to go and care for shifts was nothing like I'd ever seen, Cameron said. So the work that took place over that extended period to try to bring closure for that family, but also the fact that we could have easily lost one of our own that same day. And I think if people could see the surreal nature of that event and how dangerous it was, just looking at those floodwaters and even the videos that it circulated, right or wrong, at the same time, just to seeing officers go over the rail to rescue one of their own and to save their own team, but also trying to save your life for others. And here is the General Ordinance 6090. The full and passe procedure in the General Ordinance 6090 reads, if after substantial negotiations with the city and the labor organization mutually agree that they are unable to reach agreements as to certain open items for which there is not tentative agreement, open items in the proposed initial collective bargaining agreement, and if there is not a procedure established by existing law, the city and the labor organization will submit their respective versions of the open items to a non-binding advisory arbitration for the purpose of providing guidance to City Council from an experienced third-party neutral arbitrator regarding the relative merits of the proposed open items at issue. The arbitrator will either be mutually agreed by the parties or will be selected from a list of 7 arbitrators from the Springfield region provided by the Federal Medication and Consolation Service. The arbitrator's compensation shall be divided equally between the city and the labor organizations. The arbitrator's written opinion will be submitted to City Council for consideration together with the proposed open items from both the city and the labor organizations. City Council will either 1. Accept the arbitrator's recommendation with regards to all of the open terms, or 2. Instruct the parties to continue negotiations as to the open items in order to arrive at a mutually agreeable collective bargaining agreement.
And of course, the 4th of July is just around the corner, and here's where you can check out some fabulous firework displays here in Southwest Missouri. Have a Blast in Republic is going to be happening on Friday, June 26th at J.R. Martin Park. It'll be from 6 to 10:15 p.m. You can celebrate in Republic at J.R. Martin Park beginning at 6 p.m. There's going to be an exotic animals petting zoo, a carnival swing, inflatable zone, live music by 80s tribute band Members Only, and more family fun as well at this 30th annual celebration. Freedom Parade in Willard is set for Saturday, June 22nd, beginning at noon. You can enjoy a patriotic parade through Willard, part of the Freedom Fest. Independence Day staples will be on display, including a watermelon chomp contest at 5, fireworks at 9:45 p.m. The parade does come with a pet contest, by the way, the best furry Uncle Sam imposter. In Rogersville, Independence Day celebration is also set for Saturday, June 27th at the Rogersville City Park from 3 to 9 p.m. This annual celebration has lots of activities for family of all ages to enjoy, with vendors, inflatables, face painting, live music from the Stephen James Gang, and of course there will be an epic fireworks show. Fireburst at Kimberling City Bridge. This is set for Thursday, July 2nd from 9 to 9:30. It's a stunning display. You can get up close and personal at Table Rock Lake on land or on boat. The fireworks are set to start on July 2nd again at around 9 p.m. You just want to be sure and get there early to find a good spot. It's suggested around Harder House or the Kimberling City Shopping Center by land. This event is hosted by the Table Rock Lake Chamber of Commerce and is free to the public. Branson Landing Liberty Light Up. This is set for Friday, July 3rd at 5:30. This fireworks show is one you don't want to miss. Branson Landing's 19th annual Liberty Light Up featuring Sherry and James, then Rosie Hips, followed by a choreographed fireworks display that'll fill the skies over Lake Taneycomo. The beer garden opens up at 5:30, and this is sponsored by Will Fisher Budweiser. July 4th weekend at Big Cedar Lodge. On Saturday, July 4th, you can take some time to enjoy the holiday. There will be a plethora of activities, including the Independence Day Patriotic Picnics Flyover, featuring skydivers for overnight guests, eat good food at the Top of the Rock All-American Wine Cellar, play games at the resort, and admire the fireworks show at Top of the Rock. Red, White, and Zoo. This is set for July 4th at the Dickerson Park Zoo all day. You can visit the zoo where free admission is on offer for active military, veterans, and their immediate family members all day. Be sure to feed the giraffes, by the way. We got a text about that. And to wash your hands afterwards. Have you seen those tongues on those giraffes? Get the rundown on the zoo and its commitment to conservation efforts on the site. And Marshfield will be holding an Independence Day parade on Saturday, July 4th, beginning at 10 a.m. You can enjoy the oldest continuous Independence Day celebration just west of the Mississippi in Marshfield. The parade kicking off at 10 a.m. in Marshfield Square with a star-spangled 250th theme. And a fun fact, by the way, President George H.W. Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush participated in the parade in 1991 during his campaign. Fans on the Field Patriotic Fireworks Celebration is set for July 4th at the Route 66 Stadium. You can take yourself out to the ball game and your friends and celebrate Independence Day with fellow Card fans at the 2026 Fans on the Field Patriotic Fireworks Celebration. The sky lights up at Route 66 Stadium after the Cardinals face off against the Arkansas Travelers, and you can get your tickets now from $13. Fire and Thunderworks Fireworks is also set for the 4th of July, 9:30. This is another great Table Rock Lake area option. It's Shell Knob's annual fireworks celebration. It's set off about a third mile east of the Shell Knob Bridge. Fireworks will begin to light up the sky at around 9 p.m., and you can even spot the show from the water if you choose to watch from your boat. Lakeside Resort Fireworks is set for July 4th at Lakeside Resort in Kimberling City, again beginning 9:30 to 10. It's another Table Rock classic. 4th of July at Pomme de Terre Lake is going to be beginning at around 9:30. You can follow the Below the Dam Duck Derby. The Pomme de Terre Chamber of Commerce putting on a much-anticipated Independence Day celebration with food trucks and inflatables near the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers office. And on Saturday the 4th at the Floyd W. Jones Lebanon Regional Airport, Independence Day fireworks will be held at the airport for free fireworks, and also take advantage of food trucks at multiple sites. And Chateau on the Lake will be offering sweet treats, barbecue, and family fun. And summer nights are happening at Silver Dollar City through August 2nd, where you can celebrate the summer with nightly fireworks and extended hours as well.
And from the Springfield Daily Citizen, Ozarks native Austin Potter took unconventional path to professional football. Now he's one of the Arena League's most prolific receiver. Buffalo High graduate and Army National Guard member didn't play a snap of college football. What follows is a picture of Austin Potter celebrating a touchdown in the Ozarks Lunkers game against Memphis on June 13th at Wilson Logistics Arena. Sneaking past defensive backs and making harrowing over-the-wall catches was fun for Austin Potter. Missing his son's baseball game wasn't. Potter, then a member of the Ozark Lunkers practice squad, could no longer justify balancing his 10-year marriage, 3 young children, and position with the Army National Guard with the demands of professional indoor football. The former Buffalo High School standout thanked head coach Cam Bruffett for the opportunity before surrendering his equipment during the 2025 season. Potter, nearing the age of 30, didn't expect to buckle a chain strip again. When the Lunkers presented a contract and a firm position on their 19-man roster several months later, it was enough to pull the shifty pass catcher out of a brief retirement. It's not that he wasn't good enough to play for us in 2025. He just had some really good players ahead of him at his position, Bruffett said. Then this offseason, we had some players sign contracts to play in the older leagues or retire, and we were able to get Potter before camp. And what follows are 2 pictures of the Ozark Lunkers receiver Austin Potter playing in high school football. They have like his profile picture and a picture of him playing. He didn't pursue collegiate football, but has found himself contributing to an indoor pro football team loaded with former NCAA Division I athletes. Potter has since blossomed into one of the Arena League's most prolific receivers. By happenstance, his 30th birthday fell on the Lunkers season opener, a 48-32 home win over Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Axemen, in which Potter had 3 touchdowns. In the ladies, 46-43 heartbreaking loss to Memphis Hound Dogs 2 weeks later, a thriller on June 13th in which Potter hauled in the go-ahead score with 22 seconds left. The Ozarks native had another hat trick. On a roster comprised of primarily former NCAA Division I, Division II, and NAIA talent, Potter is an anomaly. He never played a college snap. Potter, a 4-year letterman at Buffalo who worked at the town Dairy Queen during the evenings and weekends throughout his teens, generated Division II recruiting interest. I loved football, but not school, said Potter, who joined the Army National Guard following his 2014 high school graduation. His time in an aviation support battalion included 9 months rotations in the Middle East. In 2021, roughly 8 years removed from his last football game, Potter got the urge to play again to scratch a competitive itch and to stay in shape. He joined a local 8-man semi-pro outdoor football team, then the Missouri Monarchs, that adhered to arena rules. His toughness and versatility translated well to the arena game. He's just a rock-solid dude, very reliable, Bruffett said. He's not the fastest or the strongest guy, but he makes plays. Potter, who lives in Fairgrove, takes pride in being a local product on a team with players from around the country. He hopes his unconventional path to a form of professional football inspires others. The end of high school isn't the end for you. I'm 30 years old, 12 years removed from school ball. I'm in the best shape of my life right now, Potter said. To be able to compete with these guys who have been in SEC, some even UFL and NFL, it's surreal. I go home every night and I can't believe I'm still here. So Lunkers visit the Monroe, Louisiana Greenbacks in the battle of 1 and 3 teams on June 27th.
And we're broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. If you'd like more information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. And from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield will honor World War II veteran Harold Raymer at 100. Harold Raymer, a World War II veteran and longtime Springfield resident, will be celebrating his 100th birthday on June 28th, and the celebration will be hosted by Graceway Baptist Church from 1 to 3 p.m. on June 27th, 5010 South Farm Road 135, according to a community announcement. Born in Iowa, Raymer has lived most of his life in Missouri. He served in the U.S. Army with the 35th Regiment, 25th Infantry Division, Company G during World War II. His service took him to the Philippines and Japan. After the war, Raymer worked for Pony Express Trucking and later in janitorial work at Missouri State University in Springfield. And the next byline, Harold Raymer celebrating a century of life with the community. And we see a black and white picture of Mr. Raymer, a World War II veteran who served in the U.S. Army. And we also see now a color photo of Mr. Raymer along with his late wife. She passed away in September of 2024. Family has been a significant part of Raymer's life. He was married to his wife Bernice for 80 years before her passing in September of 2024. Together they raised 2 children, Sandy and Steve. His family now includes 3 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, and 7 great-great-grandchildren. He also has 1 living brother. Friend and church members describe Raymer as a dedicated and hardworking individual. His life reflects his commitment to his faith, family, and service to others, according to the announcement. Once again, the community invited to join the celebration to honor Raymer's milestone. If you'd like more information, contact Graceway Baptist Church, the number 417-887-0212.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, update. El Cafecito owners say they're not opening second location on C Street. A building project was filed with the City of Springfield in late April that called for an infill for a project titled El Cafecito on the ground floor of the new Sankofa building. The company says it chose not to move forward with the project. And what shows is a picture of the Sankofa on historic C Street. The owners of El Cafecito, the little coffee shop, say they are not opening a second location on Commercial Street after the Daily Citizen published an article highlighting building plans that had been filed on the company's behalf to move into the ground floor of the Sankofa building at 411 West Commercial Street. We just chose not to open a second location, the family said in a Facebook message to the Daily Citizen reporter. Nothing fell through. Building and locations are fine. We just don't want to open one. We are fine where we are. Where we are. A building project was filed with the City of Springfield in late April that called for infill for a project titled El Cafecito Infill at 411 West Commercial Street, Suite B and E. The plans are listed as being under review and have not yet been approved by the city. The space on the ground floor of the Sankofa, a $13.5 million affordable housing complex that opened earlier in 2026 at the west end of Commercial Street. Sankofa is spearheaded by the Vecino Group, and the design company was listed as the primary contact on El Cafecito's building project filed with the city. The plans called for infill and run 2,400 square feet with work that included drywall, bathroom fit-outs, and painting and tilting walls, as well as finishing floors, installing kitchen equipment, and more. It appeared based on the filings the restaurant would take on suites D&E of the ground floor of the Sankofa property, joining other businesses like the SBC Community Bike Shop at the Fairbanks and a retail distributor run by the Multicultural Business Association. El Cafecito owners did not respond to multiple requests for a comment in the days leading up to the Daily Citizen publishing its original article April 22nd. El Cafecito, which opened in 2023 at 2462 South Campbell Avenue, has quickly become renowned in the Queen City, known for its luxury coffee and pastries and its vibrant atmosphere. The business owners opened a sister business in 2024 called El Escondite, located at 2528 South Campbell Avenue. And what follows, and we end here with, is a picture of El Cafecito, a little coffee shop. It's a picture of the coffee shop.
Springfield High Schoolers explore construction careers through Build U. And a couple of key points here. The Springfield Contractors Association created a program called Build U to give high school students hands-on experience in construction trades. A group of 19 teenagers participated in the 5-day event, visiting various job sites and training centers. The program aims to connect students with professionals and combat negative stigmas associated with construction careers. Choosing a career path is one of the most important decisions a person can make in their lifetime. It's the way someone chooses to financially support themselves and those around them. It's the place you spend 40-plus hours a week, and in some cases, the people you're surrounded by more than family. Construction jobs are among those at the epicenter of helping the world grow. HVAC, electrical, carpentry, welding, among several others. And that's why the Springfield Contractors Association started Build U, giving high school students who are focused on a future in construction a unique first-hand experience learning from professionals an opportunity to gauge their interests in pursuing a particular field. And we see a picture of the students all in bright yellow safety vests touring many job sites and facilities throughout that 5-day construction course. The students that are able to do the program are able to meet business owners and human resource people, and they're able to talk to a lot of high-level people, said Megan Herzog, Executive Director of the Springfield Contractors Association. But it's also educating everyone else about what these jobs are. The benefits of selling the program are also great for explaining it to the community at large. The 5-day event took a group of 19 teenagers, 5 girls, 14 boys, ages 16 to 19, on a construction spree, dabbling in different areas to find out what they enjoyed most. It started Monday, June 19th with the welcome of the students, followed by a Capitol Quarry tour and a civil construction rodeo. Tuesday began at Palmer Roofing, learning about roof panels and sheet metals, and then the group spent time touring Springfield Underground and taking job site tours at Nemble's office and Missouri State University Advancement Center. Wednesday, students got hands-on training at plumbers and pipe fitters, visited the Carpenters Union, and capped off the day with a tour of the Jordan Creek job site. And we see a picture of some of the Build U students getting hands-on training in different areas of construction. In this case, someone is shown welding. Most of Thursday was spent at Ozarks Technical Community College with a merry-go-round learning experience from construction to HVAC to electrical and plumbing, then a short walk to the Workforce Training Center for welding and more electrical work. Friday, the most unique day of all, they started in Republic on the job site of MM Highway, followed by visits to the Convoy of Hope job site, a tour of the Midwest Technical Institute, 2 more job sites with Kickapoo HVAC and Cox Children's Hospital, and capped off with a meet and greet with parents. I know when I was in high school, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, and somebody took the time then to tell me about the construction management field, said Darren Beck, board member of SCA, who's part of the team working on the Convoy of Hope job site. Somebody took the time to tell me about the trades, and so I just want to return the favor. Herzog said the negative stigma against construction, dismissed as a field people hopped into when there was no other lane for them to take for a career, has dwindled throughout her tenure in construction. From job fairs to conversations with students, she said there seems to be an increased interest in construction among the younger generation. Build U is in its 6th year of operation, and the association has seen an increase of students by the year, so much that Herzog went from a sign-up and waitlist system to accepting applications, but the number of attendees decreased from 35 in 2025 to 19 this year. It used to be a dirty word. It was a fallback, Herzog said. You only went into construction if you couldn't do something else. And people are realizing that's not the case. There's really good money in it. It's a really great profession. So I think that's been one big difference. And just knowing that those are the jobs that are not going to be transitioning out into AI and things like that in the near future. For those who are still pondering whether construction is for them or not, Herzog recommends Build My Future, a one-day showcase for area high school students. Here, attendees learn about the benefits of the construction industry, different types of areas within it, and receive professional advice. That's the really cool thing about construction is you have an end product. You get to drive by it and say, I did that. There's a sense of pride in it. If somebody likes doing that type of thing, Build You is the next step. That's to start really drilling in of what is the trade you want. Those interested in learning more about Build My Future and Build You, contact the SCA office via phone 417-862-1313 or email info@springfieldcontractors.org.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, Ronnie Morris, deaf and unsheltered man profiled by Daily Citizen, has died. Ronnie Morris and his longtime girlfriend Sherry Daniels allowed a reporter and photographer to spend time with them as they navigated life on the streets and shelters in late 2024. And what follows is a picture of Ronnie Morris and his wife, and Sherry Daniels on November 21st, 2024, and the couple was staying under the bridge. When Ronnie Morris first met a reporter and photographer with the Springfield Daily Citizen in late 2024, he and fiancée Sherry Daniels were building up and hunkering down, getting ready to spend another night under the bridge in downtown Springfield. It was a bitterly cold and windy evening. The couple, both deaf, had been homeless since 2019. As they laid out layers of blankets for bedding, Morris noticed to the reporter for his notebook and pen. His cracked, shaky hands wrote one question. Do you know any church might help us to pay motel? And what follows is a picture of Sherry collapsed in a sleeping bag as she and Ronnie began picking their belongings after they were told by a Springfield police officer that they could no longer stay under a bridge where they had been sleeping in late November of 2024. In a later interview, this time with an American Sign Language interpreter, Morris shared more about what it's like for him on the streets of Springfield. Being homeless, if you look at me, I'm dirty, he said, but this isn't who I am. I can't bathe. I'm dirty all the time. When we're on the streets, it's how it has to be. But this isn't who I am. Ronald Montgomery Morris, known as Ronnie to friends and family, died on May 31st. He was 64. Friends and family who spoke to the Daily Citizen seemed to echo Morris's words of, this isn't who I am, that he was just so much more than just a homeless person. The byline reads, Sister recalls a natural comedian. His sister, Veronica Green, described her baby brother as an outgoing person who got along with everyone. He was a terrific athlete in his younger years who could play both offensive and defensive positions on the football field. He loved to skateboard and ride bikes. Green recalled how, even though he couldn't talk and most of the family did not know ASL, Morris would tell funny stories in such enthusiastic and animated ways that left everyone laughing. He was so hilarious, he'd have you in tears, she said. I said, you're deaf, you can't talk, and you are being a comedian in front of us. And what follows is a picture. Using Ronnie Morris's government benefits cards, the couples were able to splurge on a pizza while staying in a motel room for a few nights in December 2024. Characteristically, they offered to share a slice with the photographer. Byline reads, he laughed with his eyes. Stephanie Robinson, the executive director of NAMI in Springfield, was close friends with Morris and Daniels. Robinson helped the couple access resources and navigate a world designed for the hearing. Robinson said her favorite memories of Morris are those of doing simple things like taking the couple shopping or out to lunch. He taught me sign language with incredible patience. Because of him, I eventually began taking ASL classes. That gift changed my life in ways he probably never realized, Robinson said. Ronnie was small in stature but strong in spirit. He was funny, kind, and had a way of making people smile. One thing I will always remember is that he laughed with his eyes. Ronnie was more than a friend, she added. He was like a brother. The next byline reads, in his own words, I was wild. A St. Louis native, Morris contracted meningitis as a baby and lost his hearing due to a high fever. When interviewed in 2024, he shared that his mom did not know sign language, so communication was difficult as a young child. I didn't really understand who I was and how to communicate. I was wild, he said. I just didn't understand. My mom couldn't handle me. And what follows is another picture of Ronnie Morris watching his partner Sherry Daniels during an interview at NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness of Southwest Missouri, offices on Boonville Avenue on December 13th, 2024. Both Morris and Daniels were sent to the Missouri School for the Deaf in Fulton. The two did not meet there, but both attended and lived at the school for periods of time when they were children and again when they were teens. Morris recalled being frightened and crying for his mother when his family first brought him to the deaf school. He was about 7, but after a few months, Morris said he began learning how to sign, how to read, and do math. It was tough. Sometimes I didn't understand what was going on, so I would have to follow people and what they were doing, he said in 2024. I learned a lot there. It was wonderful. And the next byline reads, could feel the boat, love to dance. While working on that 2024 story, the Daily Citizen met several unsheltered people who thought a lot of Morris and looked out for the couple. One of those was Jeff Ramage, who spoke to the Daily Citizen at the Veterans Coming Home Center, where Morris and Daniels had come to catch a shuttle to a cold weather shelter. Ramage was one of the few people in Springfield's homeless community who could communicate with the couple through American Sign Language, ASL, having taught himself the basics when his daughter was born with speech development problems. And what follows is yet another picture, and it's saying when Ronnie and Morris and Sherry Daniels learned their friend Jeff Ramage had received one meal at Veterans Homecoming Center and that he would have to share it with his partner, they gave him one of theirs. They did so in part because they would be staying in an overnight shelter that served a hot meal, but also because Ramage was one of the few homeless people they knew who could sign. Ramage died in September of 2025. He is one of the coolest people here, Ramage said to Morris in 2024. He can feel your energy. According to Ramage, Morris was able to keep a beat by sensing the vibrations. Ramage, who died in 2025, said he kept a lookout for Morris as he was kind of a target for thieves and bullies. He can read lips a little, Ramage said, but he doesn't need to know that what you're saying to know what you're about. Next byline says, hard-headed, but he was a good person. Green, Morris's sister, also spoke about Morris's ability to keep a beat and dance. For somebody to be deaf, he loved music, she said, laughing. He'd throw parties at my house, and when I tell you they show up, the deaf community, they come.
Right, our condolences to his friends and family. And we'd like to thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Don't forget, tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel, beginning at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. And listen after we're live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on how you can receive a pre-programmed radio. Have a great day.